Beck reveals that Davy D Jones was the name of the previous king of the world, which likely means that the Davy family ruled the ancient kingdom, the strongest and most technologically advanced country before the Void Century. However, Emu instantly refutes that, saying he was never a king to begin with, which makes me think that the definition of king between Xebec and Emu differs. To Emu, it means absolute control over the planet and its inhabitants. With him having the power and right to define what history is, it will let him define what justice is for people too, just like the Celestials have in the current era. But Emu still has to have the reverie, create a facade of the democratic rule of the world through the different kingdoms coming together every 4 years. Officially, Emu doesn't even exist. Nobody sits on the empty throne of the world. There are no kings. There are no world rulers. But to Xebec, it probably means the strongest pirate or the freest man, similar to what a pirate king is to us and present. Now, it is possible that Davy Jones was the king of the ancient kingdom, or at least was supposed to inherit the throne. However, he never did because the ancient kingdom was wiped off the map. We know that there were other nations and kings before the Void Century, like the Nefertari family's rule over Alabasta, or the 19 other kings with their kingdoms. Yet, the ancient kingdom with its technological strength was at the top, being the strongest. If we look at the story of the Tontatas about them being used as slaves for the humans over 900 years ago by the Don Quixote family of Dressrosa, we learn that the ancient kingdom, although strong, didn't interfere much with what other kingdoms practiced. This is a nation that Joy Boy came out of, even Davy D Jones. Just by being the enemy of Emu, the ancient kingdom, at least 800 years ago, were the good guys. Now, if this nation had control over the world, do you really think they would allow the Tontatas to be abused like this? No, they wouldn't. The ancient kingdom let the world do what they pleased in their own kingdoms until Joy Boy started to go around the world sharing his bink sake or liberating the oppressed or discriminated people of the planet. Similar to his promise for the mermaid princess about helping the fishmen live on the surface, bro was helping everyone. Now, the people in power, like the Don Quixote family, wouldn't like these revolutions because their way of life, the economy of Dressrosa, is based on slave labor from the Tontata race. If Joy Boy is telling them to lock in and stop doing labor for free, how the hell is Doflamingo's ancestor gonna afford his drip? Because you got that shit on. So Emu goes around, uses this change that is occurring in the world, which is discomforting for the kings, manipulates them like the devil on their shoulder to fight against the strongest kingdom so he can take power over the world. Emu would say something like this: Joy Boy is from the ancient kingdom. If he wants, he can use the mother flame to blow up your island, twin. Let's join together and mess him up. He hates all of us non-ancient kingdomers. That's why he's freeing the slaves. He is after our way of life. We know Emu was manipulating people because Nefertari D. Lily, who was an ally of Joy Boy before, and even Zunisha, fell into this trap. Due to the betrayals and Emu's trickery, Joy Boy lost. However, before his final breath, he learned of the future. We know they had knowledge of the future through Toki traveling to the exact moment she needed to using her Toki Toki no Mi. Like, bro, she prophesizes Anika's arrival through her final words. You are the moon unaware of the dawn. May your purpose be fulfilled and cast 9 shadows on the night woven of 20 years, and you shall know the brilliance of the dawn. How the hell did she know that Nika was gonna spawn in Wano and Joy Boy would return? Which is what knowing the brilliance of the dawn means in exactly 20 years. This is some next level balls deep prediction, and it's not by chance. Now, most members of the Davy clan decided to let the prophecy play out, all their wills being passed on to their descendants to one day help a Joy Boy once he returns. However, there are some D-clan members who like cherry pie instead of meat pie. Their goals are the same: They both want pies, which means to free the world from Emu's tyranny. Yet there are differences between the two sides of the half moon, like how Blackbeard and Zebek believe in liberating the world and asserting their own brand of control through strength, like in Hachinose, the countries they rule. While Luffy doesn't want to be a king, conqueror, or even a hero. He just wants absolute freedom for himself and his nakama. However, Davy D. Jones, being inspired by or influenced by Joy Boy's efforts, decided to act towards liberating the world 800 years ago instead of waiting for the prophecy of Dawn to come true. Remember, the Void Century is a conflict that spanned 100 years. It's the same thing we see with Zebek wanting to destroy Emu by acting himself instead of waiting for the right time or the prophecy to be fulfilled, which is what Roger did after finding the One Piece and learning the real truth about the world's history. And he's someone who inherited Joy Boy's will. Now look, if Joy Boy with his Nika fruit powers joined alongside Davy Jones, who probably had the darkness fruit, they would be able to defeat Emu. However, okay, now there's the third fruit, the soul fruit, which is going to shine light on the devil that Loki has, but we're not going to get into the whole fruit mechanic stuff, okay? That's for a different video. If you want to learn more about that, watch the Blackbeard video that Yusuf made like over a month ago. However, Joy Boy and Davy D. Jones never fought together against Emu because Davy D. Jones wasn't present at the battle against the devil, since we don't see him in the mural, which is a children's drawing from 800 years ago depicting the battle. Furthermore, Zebek calls Davy D. Jones the previous king of the world. However, Emu says he was never king. It's possible that he was part of the royal line of the ancient kingdom to inherit the throne. However, the kingdom was destroyed before he could become king. So instead, similar to young Loki being inspired by rocks, he followed in Joy Boy's footsteps and became a pirate. Because remember, Davy Jones was a pirate. Bro literally created the Davy Back Fight for pirate crews, and now, according to Zebek, he was a king too. Which means Davy Jones was the pirate king. Furthermore, Emu rages at Zebek, saying that Zebek has no place in the fate that binds Mu and Davy, which to me sounds like even Emu knows about the prophecy of the dawn, which is likely similar to the promise Davy gave to Emu. That's why Emu is shitting bricks. Remember, in chapter 908, we learn that the world's equilibrium, or Emu's dominance so far for 8 centuries, cannot be maintained forever. The Gorosei understand this. While we hear this, Emu throws knives at the mermaid princess Shirahoshi, Nefertari D. Vivi, Luffy, and Blackbeard. It took a long time, but people with the same will of D to free the world from the devil have assembled. All empires or rulers eventually end. Death comes for all. It is one undeniable truth which Emu and his immortal goons have been the most scared of. Not just in a physical sense, but the fall of the world government or their dominance's end. That's why they want to control every single aspect of the world. If they aren't at the top, the ones who are might just oppress them because they can't fathom people like Luffy, Joy Boy, or Harold who are okay with living together with other races without a oppressive hierarchy existing. The Avengers of Dawn are here to end this goofball though. This dude Emu really believes that if he just wipes out every lineage that has rebellious spirit, people will stop like dreaming and wanting freedom. In reality, the liberator Nika came from the dreams and wishes of the collective slaves from the first world that wanted freedom. Another one will keep rising. It's like a game of whack-a-mole. Emu just cannot win for eternity unless he just kills everyone and is the only survivor until the end of time, because you know he's the only dreamer left. If you oppress people, they will eventually start fighting against you. It's like a boiling pot of water. Like you can put a lid on that shit, but like the pressure will build up and blow it right off eventually. Coming back to the chapter though, Zebek says that Davy Jones is just a name. Why are you so scared if it doesn't matter much? He's saying that Emu is afraid because he knows deep down the truth about the lid blowing off. Afraid that one day everyone's gonna inherit Davy's will and fulfill the promise of Dawn. Zebek then wonders who Emu is more scared of, Davy D. Jones or Joy Boy, which proves that these two were two different individuals who went against the world government, each with their own way of bringing dawn to the world. These names trigger the shit out of Emu. Emu is shitting bricks. I'm telling you, this whole chapter. He says that they shall never resurface as long as Zabek falls into oblivion. Once Rox and his son are dead in God Valley, Emu's rule will be cemented because Emu has found the perfect soldiers in Elbaf. The giants are gentle and indecisive. They are speared by Harold's belief in the good of people before the bad, the perfect type to manipulate.